recorded like 5 or 6 of those jogging rants, and I haven't had time to release them because there's always something new. Always something new to rant about, and I'm getting ready to rant today, and yet again, the underlying theme is entitlement. I don't know if that's ever not going to be an underlying theme at this point, but I guess this is what they wanted. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse when I listen to the other channels, because the blessing is that they have the sound bites for me. I didn't have to go and listen to whatever dreadful broadcast or podcast or idiot that they did. On the other hand, they exposed me to it. And some of the crap I hear, just like last night, Stephen A. Smith ruined my night. I mean, I haven't been that irate in a long time. Stephen A. Smith is disgusting. Like, I was sitting there, like, actually fantasizing about having him in a cage match. I between him and LeBron, I don't know who would be more fun to beat the shit out of. Oh my God. Well, we're getting a taste. We're getting a taste of what Stephen A. Smith's big ESPN contract is going to produce. We'll get there in a second. You know what? Before we get to Stephen A. Smith, let's also talk about LeBron's tweet about complaining about going to Milwaukee in the preseason. And I did hear sports and fitness rants going on about it, and I had similar thoughts. I had a couple of different ones. I had a faster one. When I saw the tweet and I saw the question, can someone tell me why we're doing this? I should just say the full tweet. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. Can someone tell me why we're getting on a plane to go to Milwaukee in preseason? So a pretty blatant complaint about doing his job. But my problem with it, well, some of my unique problems with it, is that he's asking the question out to the public. Just putting it out there, just like he did with the, why can't we have current players in the Hall of Fame? Just asking. LeBron James, why didn't you ask your coach? You got your buddy coach there. Ask your coach. You don't need to tweet about it as if we have a better answer. We have the answer that, well, your people have the answer that you want to hear, which is, oh, you shouldn't. Sorry, LeBron. You shouldn't have to go through this. And then you have my answer, which is the first answer is because it's your job. It's your job to get on that plane and go there. And Sports and Fitness Rants had a different response, but also a good one. He said, because Milwaukee got on a plane and came to you last preseason. Whether Milwaukee did that or not is beside the point, in my opinion, but it definitely adds to the point. LeBron James, you passive-aggressive, cowardly bitch. Just go. You have access to the people who can answer the question better than anyone else can. Same thing with the Hall of Fame question that he had. Go, stop being a bitch and go talk to the people that you want to talk to. He can't even talk to his buddy JJ Redick or the Lakers organization that he owns. I mean, it's not like Jeannie Buss wouldn't have done whatever he told her to do. Or Adam Silver. I guess you need to complain to Adam Silver before the game comes around. Did you not see the schedule? Did he not know the schedule? What's with a surprised tweet? Like, he can't stop complaining. Like he's having breakfast and it's like, man, I just need to complain. Tweet. It's crazy. It's really upsetting. Besides the fact that it's his job. Here's the other side of that. Why don't you want to go see your son play? You are supposedly this great father, aren't you concerned about your son? Aren't you interested in your son's development? Don't you want to be his mentor? Like, I wouldn't ever want LeBron James to be my mentor, but you guys out there claim that he's a great father and everything. And yet he doesn't want to be bothered to go watch his son or play with his son. I mean, every single one of them is an opportunity to play. Or is he just simply saying he's not going to go certain distances? Hey, let's conform the NBA. Let's just make all the other players play where LeBron is at. Just like the bubble chip that benefited LeBron James more than anyone else. Perfect recipe for somebody like LeBron James. And of course, they take that and flip it to the exact opposite and try to say that it was a difficult chip. It's amazing and upsetting. Yeah. Wow, LeBron. A dedicated father, dedicated athlete, a lover of the game of basketball. He might be the worst role model out there as far as an athlete goes. In Sports and Fitness, Rant mentioned this one. I of course thought of it too, because you saw some of the traveling conditions of players from the past, and then each year it gets nicer and nicer. I'm sure the Lakers have a very, very nice plane and transportation set up for them and nice hotels set up for them. And the things that these guys complain about are what the rest of us call vacations. Vacations, if we had the money to take a vacation in the nicest way possible. That's what these guys are complaining about. All right, so let's do this. It's going to be a little bit redundant, but Stephen A. Smith right now is enemy number one. I mean, for some reason, like, he's got me more pissed off than Draymond and LeBron put together. Let's just listen to his opening statement.
Take a moment to say this in all seriousness. You know, we could talk about how surreal the moment is. I've been very disgusted at the cynics out there who've gotten at LeBron about this. I want to remind everybody who we're talking about here.
No, Stephen A. I want to remind you who we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody who has embarrassed the game of basketball. But let's back up to that. You called the moment surreal. It's not surreal. You declared it as surreal because you're a propaganda artist. You are paid by ESPN/Clutch Media to say this stupid shit because the world is full of dumb sheep who will hear it and say, oh, wow, it is surreal. It's not. It's not. Bronny shouldn't be in the NBA. And LeBron is a shell of himself. You have someone who should have retired next to somebody who shouldn't be playing in the NBA at all. So I guess it is surreal in the way that you have a nightmare and it shouldn't be happening. Like, this can't be real. Yes, that type of surreal, you're correct. God. Oh, Stephen A. Smith. What else did he say? Oh, disgusted. He's disgusted with the cynics. Yes, how dare. Just call them haters. Go ahead. Go ahead, LeBron fanboy. Call them haters. You're disgusted? Stephen A. Smith, you are disgusting. Disgusting. We're disgusted. You piece of trash. You don't get to come on here in your sermon, preaching tone, like everything that you say is the gospel. Let me tell you something. Few people on this planet, on God's green earth, are as disgusting as you, Stephen A. Smith. All right, let's listen to Stephen A. Smith soundbite part 2.
Talking about somebody where you can make a legitimate argument, there is no one who has done more for the game of basketball in the modern era.
My God. You can make a legitimate argument that no one has done more for the game of basketball in the modern era. You can't make a legitimate argument. And nice little detail in the modern era. He gets to define what the modern era is. He clearly hasn't done more for the game of basketball than the true legends that most of us just, at this point, dream we're still playing. LeBron James doing a lot for the game of basketball is an interesting one because the only thing LeBron James has done for the game of basketball is what people like Stephen A. Smith have tried to convince us that he's done. We haven't ever looked at him and naturally said, wow, look at what he's done for the game of basketball. We haven't. We've heard people say, wow, you should look at him and you should be impressed by this, but you haven't actually naturally been impressed by it. In fact, usually you're like, what am I looking at? And then the media comes at you and smashes your critical thinking, your common sense to bits and says, it was good, it was good, it was good. Don't listen to your brain, it was good. I also don't think anyone else has been allowed to do anything for the game of basketball. They've been so heavily invested in the LeBron James lie that everyone else has just been getting the shaft. A lot of you who come on this channel, a lot of the co-hosts that I work with, we talk about the topic a lot, that the other talent in the NBA is so disrespected. Like nobody else gets what they deserve. No one else gets the coverage that they deserve. If you dumped the resources into brainwashing people into thinking that other players were what they have convinced some of you out there to believe LeBron James is, you'd have the same product, only better. You'd have somebody that wasn't disgusting to watch that you're claiming is the GOAT. LeBron James is despicable. He's embarrassing. All right, let's move along with some sound bites.
Yes, I can be critical about some jump shooting. I can be critical about him having a podcast when he knows his coach is on a hot seat and stuff like that. But make no mistake about it, I don't slip when it comes to recognizing A, his greatness, and B, what he has meant for the game of basketball.
Oh my God. It's amazing how much there is to unpack in just a few lines from Stephen A. Smith. You're just going to dismiss how he gets coaches fired and how he was off podcasting while his coach was facing elimination in the playoffs and a possible firing. You don't just sweep things like that under the rug if you're half the man of integrity that you claim to be, Stephen A. Smith. And let me tell you something. The lump under the carpet where you've swept LeBron James shit under is taller than a human being. It's been an entire career of just pretending that things didn't happen. Like, oh, well, you know, like, I wasn't so fond of this or that, but let's recognize his greatness. I got 21 years of that. 21 years of you telling us about his greatness, which is a generality. What does it mean? You have to recognize his greatness. All right, and B, what he has done for the game of basketball. Another generality. What has he done? What has he done? I think we've seen that the key to success for the NBA has been largely the internet and the explosion of social media, and those things allowing the game to go international. But it's clear that the product itself is worse because of ratings, because of viewership, because game viewership, despite the human population having gone through the roof since the time that Michael Jordan was last in the finals, despite that advantage, the viewership has gone down. And you've lost an entire hardcore dedicated fan base. It's not easy to lose a dedicated fan base. You've got to really, really start serving a bunch of shit sandwiches in a row for people to stop going to their favorite restaurant. That's what LeBron James has done for the game of basketball. But you just tell the world, you declare what he's done for the game of basketball as if there's no question to be asked. What has he done? What has he done, Stephen A. Smith? What has he done? I can tell you what you've done for him in order to convince people about a lie. You have done more for LeBron James than LeBron James has done for the game of basketball. You piece of trash. Stephen A. Smith, I would love to beat the shit out of Stephen A. Smith. I would. I'm not saying I'd do it. I'm not threatening him. I'm just saying I'd get pleasure. And I'm not trying to come off as a tough guy. But I've scrapped. And I'm not afraid of that piece of... He should have never posted that video of him training. The least intimidating thing anyone will ever see in their lives. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be talking about violence, but that's the point is that's how angry people like Stephen A. Smith with their arrogance. His arrogance is maybe only matched by LeBron James's arrogance. And both of them, they have their own ways. Stephen A. Smith likes to whisper. LeBron James likes to cuss and make his eyes get big when they're both pretending to say something profound and they're not. Next soundbite.
He's earned the right to facilitate his son being a teammate of his. The Golden State Warriors, as recently reported, was considering taking Bronny James.
I've got to shorten these sound bites because he says so much crap in such a short period of time. He's earned, the word earned. I feel like you should just avoid that, kind of like saying deserve, like, oh, he deserves to die or he deserves to be punished. Do any of us really know what someone deserves or what they've earned? But once again, Stephen A. saying that he's earned this means you have to go back to his previous statement and accept it as truth. That LeBron James has, in fact, done a lot for the game. That he's moved the game forward. You don't get to give LeBron James credit for that. It's been marketing. It's been investing. Look, the Lakers have the biggest TV contract this year to sell a soap opera. Not because it's a great team, but because you are invested in selling the idea of LeBron James. How much more obvious could it be? He's earned it. So many things wrong with that. First of all, he's declaring as if it's a fact that that's how it should be. This is how sports should be run. According to Stephen A. Smith, part of professional sports is that if you've played long enough and earned enough money, you have the right to manipulate into that sport people who do not belong in that sport. Does that sound like the integrity of a sport to you? And where do you get a harebrained idea like that? Where do you get a harebrained idea that you could earn that right with anything? LeBron James could have done as much for the NBA as Stephen A. is claiming, and it still wouldn't be true. That's not how people are supposed to get into the league. And facilitating. What a sneaky use of the word. It's called manipulation. Strong-arming an organization. Manipulating other organizations. You piece of trash, Stephen A. Smith. You lying flipper. You didn't like this nepotism at first until you were given instructions. You yes man. You were given instructions to tell the world that you're okay with it and start calling out executives. He does it again in this one. Executives have gotten people office jobs in the organizations, which is what my last episode was on. And I've said it in every episode that I've spoken on nepotism. I never said that the nepotism of the past was okay. And if anything, what I've repeatedly said is that the sins of the past don't okay the sins of the future and the present. Now, what I did say is that it's also not even comparable. Not only should the nepotism not be taking place, but you're so desperate to now justify nepotism that you're using examples of people getting positions that nobody's even heard of or cared about. Office jobs, crap like that. Scouts, scout number 3, marketing intern number 7, assistant coach number 30. That is not the same as becoming an NBA player. You're an instant celebrity. These people are basically celebrities, a 15-man roster. The whole world looks at them during televised games. They're all instant millionaires with these crazy contracts. It's not comparable. Stop pretending that it's comparable. And then remember, it's still not okay. I'm not okay with any of it. But my point is that you're using a really lame reach of an excuse to try and justify something that is bad. Where's your integrity, Stephen A. Smith? Hold everyone equally accountable. Don't say, oh, well, let's just accept it now. Let's just accept it now because LeBron wants to do it. No integrity whatsoever. And the Golden State Warriors. Maybe you don't want to call them a dynasty, but some people have called them a dynasty. A former dynasty has been reduced to a pawn piece for the LeBron James story. All of these stories, ever since Draymond Green signed with Clutch Sports, it's been nothing but hell and decay for that organization. And talks about the Warriors want LeBron. Now the talks are that the Warriors wanted Bronny. It's so weird to me that we hear about these things so late, so much later. You know, I thought that Waj and these other guys were on top of these things and were letting you know the latest news. No, we're finding out about these rumors like half a season to full seasons later. It's a story that was created. And speaking of integrity, if they were true, F you, Warriors. F you. I already say F you to the Warriors based on the rumors alone and the fact that they kept Draymond Green. Stay consistent. Don't use an idea that the compromised Warriors were interested in Bronny to justify what LeBron did. Bronny sucks. Bronny is what Bronny is, no matter who was supposedly interested in him. Nobody was. I don't buy it. I'm going to need some hardcore evidence. I'm going to need recordings of the phone calls and copies of the proposed contracts that were being prepared before I believe the Rich Paul lies that Stephen A. Smith likes to spread. And if it was true, all that means is that the Warriors are part of the game. It doesn't make what you visually saw of Bronny James suddenly not be what you saw. It's still what it is. He's still as bad as he looked. I don't care if the Celtics tried to get him. I don't care if the winning organization from last year, the champions from last year, were trying to go all in for Bronny. It would not change what Bronny is. But the story, the manipulation, the easily influenced minds who are LeBron James fans in particular, well, they would have bought into it. You still see what you see, people. And reality is still reality no matter what Stephen A. Smith says. What a piece of trash. I'm not going to do the rest of the sound bites. I can't take it. Is that not enough? Like the first 3 sentences out of his mouth, half an hour of content. What a piece of trash. All right, let's move on to the real topic. God damn.
Which is what